Rest days in tournaments, it's an interesting issue. I think different tournaments play it in different ways. I think if the tournaments at the moment, if they do have rest days, they usually have them at the beginning. So the first round will be a split round. Sometimes that's not particularly helpful always, because you kind of want the rest day later. If anything, you want it later on, because that's probably when you're at your most jaded, and you could probably do with a little bit more time. I suppose why the tournaments don't do them is because of expense, and then the time that the tournaments take, like tennis tournaments can take 2 weeks, and I think to be drawing a squash event out in its way wouldn't also be that good a thing. But I think there's definitely room for a rest day or two within an event. Certainly I think one is almost now a must at a major event, to play 5 matches, and they're all going to be pretty heavy. 5 matches on the trot is tough in a sport like squash. It's the movements that we all make, and anyone who's played squash will know about it. It can be quite damaging on the body, and we've got a lot of methods in place to try and look after our bodies nowadays, from the sports science and the rehab side of things, but there's still no doubting that squash takes a heavy toll on it. You only have to look at Jonah and Jeff Hunt for that, the amount that they put themselves through in their day, and they perhaps suffer for now. So I think, and I think it would also do the tournament quite a lot of good to have those rest days later on as well. Perhaps after the quarters, maybe. I think is possibly an ideal scenario. So you've played 3 matches and then 2, and often the 2 hardest are going to be at the end. And for a promoter, you want the players fresh at the end of the tournament. You don't want 2 players, or often it can be 1 player coming through one half who's fresh as a daisy, and the bottom half, the guy who's in the final is tired, and it can often be a bit lopsided, and the finals can sometimes not be as good as they should be. So I think, it's quite an interesting issue, and I think maybe needs to be a bit more constant, because at the moment all the different tournaments are all over the place. One has a rest day, some don't have rest days at all, one have rest days early on, like here at the Q8 World Open, we've got a rest day after the semis, I believe. So I don't think that's very rare, but it's a good idea, because hopefully then the finalists have got a really good chance of being fresh, to back up. 6 matches is tough, really tough. So it's very sensible to have at least 1 rest day in there. Whether you can't, I don't think you can have rest days after every match, but I think maybe 1 or 2 would be my idea of a good fair playing field for everyone.